Gon' vote. Everybody gon' vote. Everybody gon' vote. Everybody gon' vote. Comrade! Labor right, them a go down, bong. Them a go down, bong. Them a go down. Is that? Margie, him a God picking. No hope their work if you touch Margie. Margie, him a God picking. No hope their work if you touch Margie. We now vote for Labour. Orange we a come out in now. If you love the PNP, who no step out for Marky G. Jamaica just come along with we. People time come, people time come, people time is up.
Only thing that's on my mind is who's gonna run this town tonight.
Yeah, I say that we are pledge of allegiance.
Who's gonna run this town tonight?
Yeah, I say that we
We gonna run this town.
Make the trumpets play. Make the trumpets play.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has delivered a speech akin to a budget speech. Many of the things he included in his speech today are things that were in his budget speech last year in March. And we've heard it several times since. But you know, what that speech that the Prime Minister just made reflects is really a pretense at accepting responsibility, but in reality seeking to dodge responsibility. Climate change. To blame the appalling state of the road network in Jamaica today on climate change is just totally disingenuous. The reality is that there has been an absence of any proper road maintenance policy for years. And you have been in office for 9 years, so you have superintended 9 years of neglect over the maintenance of Jamaica's road network, for which the people are holding you accountable now. And that's just the reality of it. There used to be a road maintenance fund which was established and funded to support road maintenance programs. That was put to an end under the JLP government to help to finance some of the loans that were taken from China, as it was in that case, to finance some of the major road projects. Jamaica's had decades of major road projects, but very little road maintenance. And what bothers me about your approach is that it's going to continue into the future if you are allowed to continue in government. There will be inadequate maintenance as a permanent feature of your government's regime, because you're continuing to be fixated on major road projects, because no doubt the benefits that flow, that can be the collateral benefits that flow from those major road projects, of which we are all aware. But the road maintenance, which is what the people want to see, the interior roads, the community roads, even the scheme roads, which you said the government is not responsible for. The government fixes the entire parameters of how roads are addressed in the country. The decision whether to take over or leave roads without any proper superintendent is a government decision. You can't shirk responsibility for scheme roads because you say developers developed it and it was never handed over. These are schemes which have been in this situation for year after year after year with no proper arrangement for dealing with the fixing of the roads in those schemes. So you said something about when you start to shout, you know, the stone lick. Well, apparently it does lick. That's why you're shouting at me now. Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I don't discussions about resolutions brought here are neither here nor there. The reality is that Jamaica has a proliferation of schemes that were developed by private developers where the roads are in limbo. And you can't shirk responsibilities as a government by saying, oh, that's the way it is. It's the duty of the government to fix the system if the system is flawed. The fact that you're very bad at fixing systems is no excuse. And that failure is replicated in many different areas in terms of how the state interfaces with the population, where there are all sorts of inefficiencies which people suffer from daily and need to be corrected, and you're very poor at correcting it. But the point about this is climate change is not the excuse. It's not an excuse that can absolve you from responsibility for your stewardship of the road network over the last 9 years. Highways have been built. Highways were built by many governments. The North Coast Highway was built by the PNP. The East-West Highway was built by the PNP. The North-South Highway was built by the PNP. So we're not, and you've built some roads too, but the road network, despite the increase in fiscal space, which has been the legacy of the successful execution of the IMF program under the PNP administration of Portia Simpson Miller, after the Bruce Golding administration collapsed the program and couldn't cross it and had to give up on it, couldn't pass any test. We took it over and we set the groundwork. We did the heavy lifting. That is why the tax system was fixed by a proliferation of tax legislation and administrative changes which have borne great fruit, where the revenue has increased year. A little perplexed by the answer that was given by the minister. The Act says that no tax shall be levied on these persons' salary and emoluments. So they're exempt from tax. So the question is, why are more senior employees exempt, hourly paid workers or not? You said it has to do with something to do with filing a tax return? Just explain that for me, please. Because if they're exempt, I don't know, why they'd be filing unless they had other sources of income. But the real question was, why would better paid employees not pay any tax, and the hourly paid workers would have to bear tax? That was the question.
So the Articles of Agreement, Madam Speaker, with specific reference to Section 9, addresses immunities from taxation, which precludes the bank from collecting taxes on behalf of TAJ. This is similar to embassies, consulates, and other international organizations. And thus, the bank does not have any obligation to collect and remit PAYE, EdTax contributions on behalf of its employees. So, again, to repeat, the employees of the bank are deemed to be self-employed for the purposes of administering the Income Tax Act and are required to file individual income tax returns.
Madam Chairman, the wording of the provision before us says that no tax shall be levied on their salaries or emoluments paid by the bank. That would exempt that from tax. Not to say that the bank is precluded from having to withhold like a PAYE person. That's a different matter. If the intention is that they should file their own returns and are liable to tax on their salaries like all other Jamaicans, this is not achieving that. This is doing the reverse. This is making their pay tax-free, which is apparently not the intention. I think we should suspend the debate on this and take advice. It's a serious matter.
Senator Professor Floyd Morris, and I'm taking this opportunity to reiterate a call that I made in the State of the Nation presentation on Friday, December 13th, for the chairman of the UDC and the HAJ to resign immediately. And my call is being re-emphasized amidst the revelation from the chairman of the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, Mr. Andrew Swaby, that Estate Bridge did breach the permit that was granted to them to build 4 2-bedroom houses in Beverly Hills. And we have to make sure that we set consistent standards in governance in our country. It cannot be that one person is removed from their job because they commit a similar offense, and then another because he's connected politically is allowed to go without any consequences for his action. And I am calling upon the chairman of the HAJ and the UDC to let us at least give some semblance of respectability to our democratic processes and systems and do the honorable thing, which is to resign amidst what is coming to the fore now. It is untenable and unacceptable, and it will not repose any confidence in the office holder who is connected to Estate Bridge as one of its director.
Oh, no, go on the first promise. On the things that we are putting back in the office. On the things that we are novice. On the better listen to this. Vote them out, cause them not see we when we young. Vote them out from Kingston to country. Vote them out, cause when they win them a go dump way. We have to tell them promptly, people, just vote them out, cause them not see we when we young. Vote them out from Kingston to country. Vote them out, we have to tell them promptly, cause when they win them a go dump way. Marky G, you know you the people them really want to see a great leader who will talk to we. Put on the boat and go, they go walk to we. Yes, go march to we, because we have some guy with them on a intention, leading the country in the wrong direction. That's why we come to make we own a selection. This we are gonna do when in call the election. Vote them out, cause them not see we when we hungry. Vote them out from Kingston to country. Vote them out, cause when they win them a go dump way. So we are tell them promptly, people, just vote them out, cause them not see we when we hungry. Vote them out from Kingston to country. Vote them out, cause when they win them a go dump way. We have to tell them